Welcome to Unlocking Levels, helping you reach new levels in your potential. All right, y'all. Welcome back to Unlocking Levels. Thank you once again for tapping in. I'm your host, CL The Source, your friendly neighborhood hope dealer. And today, as you can see, I have a special guest with me, someone I've known for a very long time, someone very near and dear to me, somebody that I see doing some amazing work. And I'm just very thrilled and excited to have this gentleman with us. Today, I got my good friend, Dr. Stanton Wong. He works in the health field and he practices chiropractic. So for those of y'all that don't know anything about chiropractic practice or even what it is, this episode is definitely going to be for y'all, and it's going to be centered around health. It's going to be centered around entrepreneurship, because my man is starting from the ground up and he's building an empire, and you're really getting to see it from the very beginning. And before we get the ball rolling, I just want to tell you, Stan, bro, thank you so much for being here. I really love what you're doing, bro. I see you from a distance. I'm here in Hawaii. You're back in our hometown of San Francisco, just doing major work, bro, providing a lot of relief, teaching people, helping people kind of heal themselves, and yeah, man, offering a different way to kind of find healthy solutions to some of their problems, man. So thank you very much for being here, and welcome to Unlocking Levels, my brother.
All right, thank you. Thank you. It's a pleasure to be here.
Right on, brother. Yeah. We've been meaning to do this for a long time, and I'm glad we're finally doing it, man. So to kind of get the ball rolling, Stan, bro, I just want to kind of start off with, because there may be a lot of people out there, bro, that don't even know what chiropractic is, bro. So how would you explain what chiropractic is to somebody that just doesn't even know what it is, bro?
Well, chiropractic in its true essential theory is connecting the body and brain back together. How we do that is through the avenue of the spinal cord. The spine, as most people should know, is kind of like the lifeline of everything we do in our day-to-day day-to-day basis, right? So thinking, breathing, smelling, all those kind of things, all of our natural life functions, they happen through the spinal cord. How chiropractic helps is we remove kind of like the interference between that communication. Sometimes that gets distorted uh, because of our lifestyles, uh, traumas that we've endured in our lifetime, and all those kind of things that kind of just build up and kind of slow down that communication between our body and brain. So we help to restore that and help people try to live their most optimal lives.
That's amazing, bro. And I do a lot of a lot of research into the health industry myself, right? Because it's always about, like you said, just trying to reach that optimal level of yourself, man. And I'm curious because you talked about the spine, bro. Like, how important is that to our overall health in terms of like how much does it communicate with like our brain and everything like that? How would you explain that?
I think, well, it's the key essential to our life because everything processes from our brain, and
Mm-hmm.
our brain gets that information and helps our body kind of do the jobs they need to do, whether it's our heart beating, whether it's our lungs breathing, our digestive systems kind of taking care of what we ingest as fuel to live our lives, and even the way we move. That's all directed from the brain. So if you think about each level of our spine, they have innervation going to different parts of our bodies, whether it's that's our arms, our legs, even all of our organs are innervated. So it's really important that we have that optimal communication going on within our body so that we can be our best selves.
Yeah, absolutely, man. And I'm thinking as you're even talking, man, about so many of us are at desk jobs or even just on our phones, right? And like that alignment of our spine, of our neck, and how that's runs through the center of our bodies, right? So it's extremely important. And thinking about chiropractic and what it can do. And speaking from my standpoint, I've actually experienced chiropractic through you for my first time, man. And again, thank you for that, man, because that experience for me, and you could tell him, Stan, right, bro? Like, I was hesitant, bro, right? I was
You were a
nervous.
little hesitant.
I didn't know, how good it was gonna feel, what it was gonna do. I was nervous, bro, because look, you see things online, you see, you get a little hesitant because you're just like, oh man, this dude's about to crack my neck, about to crack my spine, and you get a little hesitant, right? I think it's kind of normal for some people, right? So my question to you for the next question is like, what would you say to somebody, bro, that is a little hesitant, that is a little skeptical, that may even be just downright scared, bro, to kind of go under, some practice of chiropractic.
Right. I think in terms of hesitancy, I think the first thing a person needs to do is just reach out to a local chiropractor and kind of get a better understanding of what chiropractic is, what it can do for them. I think a lot of the misperceptions of what chiropractic is just due to kind of like cultural biases where we see things, whether it's on like movies or TV shows or even like kind of just like stories passed on, like, oh, like you can get your neck broken and things like that. So easily there's a perception that those are things that can happen, but I can rest assure you that that is a very minimal case of that actually happening. We spent many hours in school learning to perfect our craft to make sure that we're offering the most optimal care for people to ensure that they're getting better, not worse, right?
Right, right. Yeah, and prior to getting on here with you, bro, obviously I know you, I've known you for a long time and things of that nature, but I do my research and I kind of did a little deep dive into the field of chiropractic in terms of learning the history, how long it's been around, how long y'all got to go to school for and all that stuff. And it is a rigorous process, man. And to go through that, pass all the tests and have X amount of hours of practice and whatnot, man. It's a lot, man. So kudos to you for going through that. I'm curious from a personal standpoint, and I'm pretty sure I asked you this off camera when you first got going, but out of all the different directions you could have went in for the medical field and the health field, what made you choose chiropractic of all of them?
Um, I think I went with chiropractic because before getting into the field, I used to be a preschool teacher.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, and I've always felt like I had a calling to do service for people. And when I went into an orientation at the school, I didn't really have it in my mind that I wanted to do chiropractic, but I just wanted to open my horizon, kind of see what other options there were in terms of being able to serve a community. And when I went in for that weekend, they brought back a lot of college students that had graduated already and came back and just wanted to give a perspective of what they were doing in the field. And just so happened that weekend, the three people that came in talked about how they were working with families, working with children. So right there and then, it kind of like clicked to me that, oh, this is like right up my avenue in terms of like helping kids, helping families. It resonates to my calling. So that's what really kind of directed me in that direction. I still didn't have 100% confidence that I could go through 3.5 years of vigorous schooling. Um, just because I can be honest in myself and say that I know I'm not the greatest student in the world. So in order to do a program like that, I knew I had to change my mindset, kind of look at myself in the mirror and say, you're not only doing this for yourself, but you're trying to better your community, you're trying to better your family. So I did have to do a little convincing to myself to make sure that I was ready to endure and to kind of like go on this journey of what the program was going to be.
Man, it's so awesome to hear you say that, bro. Honestly, that's so beautiful, dog. Like straight up, man. I don't think I ever told you that face to face, man to man, brother to brother. But that is amazing to hear you say that, bro. And honestly, that is embodying exactly what unlocking levels is all about, bro. It's just about
Right.
understanding what your purpose and what your reason, what your calling was. You touched on that and serving, right? And just elevating yourself to your best self. And you knew in order to heed to that purpose, to that calling, and to better yourself, better your family, better your community, you had to do something that you may not have originally been willing to do, but you
Exactly.
had to change that mindset behind it, man. And sometimes it takes that narrative, like just telling yourself, like, nah, man, we go in this direction, we doing this.
Exactly.
And I was there, bro, when you were going through school, bro. And Simone, your daughter, was still very small at that time, man. And man, I imagine and I know how difficult and how challenging that was. And for you to get to this next stage and continue to keep unlocking levels, bro, that's amazing. As we talked about prior to us recording here, it's only a matter of time because, bro, so many different things are working in your favor, bro. I mean, you've got your purpose, you're serving the community, you're coming from that place of like wanting to help people and heal themselves. And when I hear you talk and when I see you post stuff online, all I see is like you're coming from that pure place, and you're making it fun too, bro. Like I see your content, bro. You're making it fun. You're making it more like approachable for people that may be skeptical, bro. And you touched on it with kids like a little bit in terms of like how you used to be a preschool teacher and how you want to serve and how you want to help people. I'm curious because I've also seen you do some content with kids. And how early of an age can people get started with chiropractic, and how early would you even recommend?
Um, Babies can start chiropractic the minute they're born. If you think about the birthing process, it's really strenuous for a baby, right? When we talk about like, oh, their skulls are very malleable, uh, their necks are very sensitive in terms of like you gotta kind of like protect it and kind of like nurture it. So if you think about the kind of like pressure that's being sent into their bodies as they're coming out into this world, you can see how there could be a necessity for chiropractic even from the first minute of life. But for me personally, like my daughter, she started chiropractic, I want to say around 3 to 4 months old. And obviously, that form of chiropractic is definitely different than what you see in the YouTube and IG videos of
For
like
sure.
adjusting. It's a very gentle. The amount of pressure that you apply to a baby is probably about how you would check the ripeness of an avocado, right? So it's not that much pressure at all. And it's just about, like making sure that that spine is aligned and letting that child kind of grow in his optimal self. Like me personally, I could tell that my daughter had like irregular bowel movements, and every time I would bring her into a chiropractor, uh, within 30 minutes that issue was done, right? So for people out there that think like, oh, chiropractic's only for adults, no, it can start from a very young standpoint in life and continue to build on. And I think it's actually important for children to experience chiropractic because then they can actually see a different side of health, and know that they can actually control their health and control their lifestyle rather than just living a life and waiting for symptoms to kind of come to you. And then it's like, oh, now what do I do now that I'm in pain or now that something's not working properly in our body? We always want to stay ahead. It's always better to kind of prevent things rather than have an intervention type of approach to things. So yeah.
Yeah, that's brilliantly said, man. I think a lot of us, myself included, tend to fall in that category, bro, in terms of we wait, bro, until something catastrophic happens in our life before we actually decide to kind of do something, right? We're like, oh, this is fine. We can continue doing what we're doing and, stack bad habit over bad habit and then kind of let it accumulate over time. And then finally, when something bad happens, that's when we have to, do something to take measures. But yeah, that proactive approach, I think, is very important, bro. And I'm glad that you shine light on that, man, because how you illustrated that with the children, bro, of like kind of making that comparison to checking the ripeness of an avocado. That's what I'm thinking. So you're just kind of like getting the ball rolling, making sure that she's straight, she's like aligned, everything's good, and then clearly it had immediate benefits, bro. So
Definitely.
it's just like if people understood that more, and again, I'm speaking to myself because I didn't understand that for such a long time, man. Especially when we're younger, we've known each other for over 20 years, so we've been through a
Hmm.
lot, bro. In terms of like, we've known each other when we were young and spry, And now, when we get into our older ages, bro, if we're not taking care of ourselves, bro, then it can start to create some challenging issues, right?
Definitely, definitely. And I mean, I think that's the point of chiropractic. It's not necessarily just approaching from a pain aspect. I think chiropractic in its true essence is for you to to function in your optimal self. And then other things kind of dissipate after that. So when we're talking about pain as kind of like the main reason why people see chiropractic, for me as a chiropractor, my goal isn't to rid you of your pain immediately.
Mm.
My goal is to restore function in your nervous system, in your spine, other joints in your body as well. But our goal is to restore that function and have you working at your optimal self. When that can happen, then other things kind of just build and build upon that, and losing losing that sense of pain that you're enduring, having more mental clarity, being able to breathe better, seeing yourself maybe perform better in certain cases. Like I think like that's why you see a lot of sports teams with chiropractors, right? It's
Mm.
not just like to remove the pain part. I mean, that's an aspect that people think about, but that's not really what chiropractic is in its true essence.
Mm. And on that note, man, it got me curious because I've been through the session with you. I've been through an assessment with you, but let's take an average person that has never walked into your office or you've never made a visit with them. What would your initial assessment like? Walk us through like an initial assessment.
So the initial assessment actually starts with you. Before you meet me, I usually send you some paperwork that you fill out, where you kind of talk about any issues that you're going through. We use that information to kind of be our baseline of what we want to build off and find more information about those things, right?
Right.
So when you're looking at someone who says like, "Oh, I've had back pain for I don't know 6 months," all right, we're going to start and ask you, how did that pain start? Did you get in a car crash? Did you fall? Was it maybe from a lifting accident, or did that pain just kind of like sprout out of nowhere? And depending on what kind of road you're leading us down, then we have like follow-up questions, and then we can kind of assess different kind of things. Like we can assess your posture. Our posture reveals a lot about what our body is going through, what our body is perceiving, what our world is, and how it normally should be, or what it kind of views as normal, not what it should be, because
Mm.
obviously most of our postures aren't at our optimal levels. um, and then we can do things like looking at range of motion. We always look at the body as uh, it should be symmetrical. Like we should be able to turn our heads to the right and left equally. When that's not achieved, then we can probably assume that there is some sort of dysfunction going on at some part of your body, and we want to get to the root cause of that and address that to make sure that you can be more symmetrical and be functional, be equally functional as you can. And then we go into like orthopedic tests. So doing specific tests to maybe test the joints to see if we can replicate pain, uh, to see if that pain is local or if it's kind of moving around the body and showing up in different places of the body as well. Those are all different tests we can do. We can do muscle tests to see strength within the body and compare that from side to side. If you can, like naturally, we would think, oh, I use my right hand dominantly to right, so that should be my strong arm. But if you do a specific muscle test and you actually find that you can resist strength better on your left arm than your right arm, then you know specifically, okay, there's probably something going on the right side of your neck that we have to address or look into to see how we can kind of fix that issue and have your body go back to its optimal self.
Wow, man. That was very revealing in a lot of ways, man. That's a lot of information for me to kind of unpack, but man, thank you for that. And it's dude, it's, again, kind of going back to when I was hesitant and skeptical. You remember that moment, I'm sure
Mm-hmm.
very vividly, man, because I was definitely hesitant, bro, but like even learning, having this conversation already, I feel like I've picked up so much in terms of like the overall benefits again, bro. And like even more than when we had my first initial assessment, you know what I'm saying? And dude, so like I'm curious too, like how much is that muscle and spinal connection come into play? Like how much is that involved in our misalignment and our, us not being symmetrical, as you mentioned?
I mean, that's the key of all of our movements, right? So, like we talked about, each level of our vertebrae has certain innervations to different parts of our body. So, if we talk about like, let's say our arms specifically, our shoulder region up here, that has to do more with the level of C5. And then as we move down the arm to the thumb and to the index finger, that's C6. The middle of the palm, almost to the outer part of our hand, is C7. And then kind of like the outer edge of our palm and all the way back up our arm is C8. So you can see how different parts of our bodies are innervated from different levels. So if we have dysfunctions at one level or multiple levels,
Yeah.
we can see different results in our testing, whether it's muscle testing, whether it's sensory testing, even like in the way the pain is shown in our body. Sometimes like people talk about, oh, I have like shooting pains down my arm or shooting pains down my back.
Mm-hmm.
We want to figure out, is it specifically happening from a root cause standpoint? Like, is there kind of like a disc bulge, or is there kind of like a degenerating disc issue that's kind of starting that cause, or is it somewhere lower down where we just have like tight muscles, and because of our posture, it's kind of creating this like tension within muscles where our nerves actually run through and around, right?
Mm-hmm.
So we want to get down to be as specific as we can when we adjust, because like I said, we don't chase the symptoms of the pain. We try to find the root cause of the issue and fix it from that standpoint.
Got you. Yeah, I was envisioning, you hear of cases where people have sharp back pains and then it actually comes from how they're standing, right? It's not necessarily the back that's like the problem. Sometimes it's from your foot, right? Like and it kind of shoots all the
Exactly.
way up. And what you just kind of illustrated just kind of like highlights that even more, man, where you may think, oh, I got a back problem, but it could be because of the work that you do. You know what I'm saying? Like you just kind of like standing on your feet all day, bro. You know what I'm saying? And that connection is very important to kind of make, because then like you mentioned, just getting to the root cause of the problem, bro. And man, honestly, it's very revealing, bro. And it's I see the benefits way even more so right now. Now I'm curious, bro, like again, for folks that may not have much information about chiropractic, like could you also run down just some of the lesser known benefits of chiropractic?
Okay. So, I mean, I will say most people come to chiropractic because they're suffering some sort of pain, whether that's acute, whether that's chronic. But I think for the most part, a lot of people see chiropractic as kind of a way to rid themselves of pain or fix their issues of pain. But I think you'll find that a lot of people that come back to chiropractic and stay consistent with chiropractic, they do it because of how it makes their body feel.
Right.
You can't like really describe it rather than feel it. But for me, I think chiropractic helps with a lot. Like if we adjust your mid back, you might have pain there, but you're also kind of allowing your ribs to move the way they should be moving when you adjust your mid back. And when that happens, then your lungs can kind of expand and move the way they should be moving, right? Because obviously, if your rib cage is kind of constricted, then you can only breathe so much. When we talk about like an adjustment to the neck, some people may be suffering from headaches, and that's why they think that an adjustment to the neck will help them. But a lot of people tell me when they get adjustments in the neck, like they just feel like there's more blood flow going back to the brain. Like it feels like a whole lot of tension just left like their shoulder neck area, and they just have more clarity. So like I said, like it's just more about letting your body be more optimal. It takes away the tension and stress that your body's enduring so that it can actually focus on doing the jobs they need to rather than the things that are bothering the body. And yeah.
You know what, bro? And another reason why I love chiropractic, bro, and I'm so glad I got a really good friend in this industry, because you shine so much light on so much stuff, bro. And I believe so much in holistic ways of healing, holistic ways of growing, holistic ways of just feeling your most optimal self. And this definitely provides an alternative to, the traditional kind of medicine and kind of, just pain treatment with just kind of hitting us with drugs and whatnot. You're actually getting to the root of things to where you could solve the problem. And then, once you get to that place of like feeling at your optimal self, it's about just maintaining, right? Like maintaining that practice and that creating good habits to keep yourself feeling that way. And on that note, how often would you recommend? Obviously, every case would be different, right? I think that's safe to say, but how often would you recommend chiropractic visits to your patients?
For me, it changes from person to person. I think a lot of it has to do with what you do in your lifestyle. Like someone who is like super young, like maybe like in their 20s, and all they really do is either go to school or do work and just live life on the side. Those type of people probably don't need chiropractic as often as someone who might be a parent running around with a little toddler, or someone that works in construction or does like heavy lifting all the time, right? So depending on your lifestyle, that kind of changes like the frequency of when you need chiropractic care. What I always tell my patients is the reason I give a lot of information to them and to help them better understand their bodies is that they can recognize themselves when they need chiropractic care. Because, like I said, depending on your lifestyle, your feeling of optimal feeling is gonna either come down a lot faster or it's gonna come down gradually, depending on what you do on a day-to-day basis, right? And kind of like how you take care of yourself. Because I can give you a bunch of like exercises about stretching and strengthening your body. And for some people, they might do it, four to five, 6 times a week to keep themselves well. And then someone else could take that packet of exercises and be like, I'm not going to do that, right? And that's their choice and lifestyle. I'm not here to say like that's right or wrong, but if you choose not to do the exercises, then you might find yourself coming back to a chiropractor a little more often than the person that's trying to keep themselves well all the time, right? So for me, like that's why I give that kind of information to people and help them better understand their bodies, so that they can kind of feel in themselves like, oh, like, I miss feeling how I was feeling like a month ago when I saw the chiropractor because like I felt like I could wake up, I had a whole bunch of energy, like
Mhm.
nothing was really bothering me. And now, like, I'm feeling like something in my back's kind of like calling out to me, saying, like, hey, like, it's we got to fix ourselves in some way. And, for some people that really upkeep themselves, they might see a chiropractor only every other month, every 3 months. So it just depends, right? But I would say it depends too. Like if you've been suffering from chronic pain, you might have to see a chiropractor more often in the beginning, maybe like every week, maybe even twice a week sometimes, just to like get yourself right, get your body accustomed to addressing the issue rather than letting the issue address you.
Mhm.
So, for those people, you might have to see or visit more often in the beginning, but our goal in the end is still to get you to that point of wellness so that you do only have to see a chiropractor like once a month or every other month or whatever the case might be. It changes with every person, right? So I specifically never really like to tell someone like, oh, you have to see me in a week or 2 weeks. um, it might be a suggestion like to just pay attention to your body and see how
Right.
your body's responding to the care, and then it, it kind of we kind of build off that, right? Like if someone got adjusted on a Friday, and then if I check in with them on Monday, and they're like, I'm still feeling pretty good, then I would say, okay, like maybe at the end of the week we'll check in again, see how you're doing, and if you're doing well, then we can probably maybe push that next visit to the next week or even the week after that, depending. Or where someone says like, yeah, like over the weekend I felt really good, but now I'm starting to feel it come back. That kind of lets us know that chiropractic did help to some extent, and then we have to keep working on that and building on that so that you can get to a place where you're good.
Man, I just gotta say, Stan, bro, that I just love your approach, bro, because it's not pushy. You're doing like, your intentions are so pure, bro. You know what I'm saying? Like, because there are some people out there that that would just continue to push and push and push, right, and get a little pushy. But you have such a approach to it where it's just like, you offer the information up to people, you give them what they need, and then you kind of leave the ball in their court, bro. And you're not really push. You check in on them, and and you let them know you're always there for them, bro. And I think with a mindset and an approach like that, bro, it's inevitable, bro, that you're just gonna continue to win in life, bro. But what I wanted to ask you, bro, as the next question here before we kind of move on to, because I want to talk about entrepreneurship as we wrap up our
Okay.
discussion, just because I know you got started not too long ago, and we'll kind of get into it. But I wanted to ask you, bro, let's dispel something for the people, bro, because when people hear them cracking and they get a little intimidated by it, what you explained it to me, but I want you to explain it to people. What is that sound? Where is that coming from?
Okay, so what you're hearing when you hear these snap or crackle and pops, as like some people like to call them, that's actually gas buildup that's in your joint that's being released. So when we think about joints, they are kind of like a capsule holding two bones in place and helping them move the way they should move. Now, what happens is, as we live life, whether that's pressure being built from our posture, from the activities we do, pressure is built into these joints. And when there's enough pressure in it, that can kind of decrease the function of the joint and maybe not allow you to move the way you should and things like that. And that kind of like cascades into certain muscles having to work harder or certain muscles needing to support you in your posture more. So what happens is when we adjust you, we're bringing that joint to its kind of like end range of motion, and that quick kind of like adjustment kind of just stretches that joint and releases that gas. So that's what you hear when you hear these popping or cracking sounds. We're not actually cracking any bones. If we were to crack bones, then we'd probably be fracturing your bones and we wouldn't be doing our jobs really well.
Yeah, and that was something I had no idea of stepping into it for my first time again, because it's like the information is out there, but a lot of people aren't actively pursuing that information. So you're going based off what you see, right? And that was me, right? I was definitely that's I think a lot of the reason why I was hesitant, why I was even a little intimidated by it. I would see you do working on our friends and shit like that, and I was like, man, that's dope. But at the same time, I'm like, yo, I'm a little nervous about this. So for you to dispel that and to explain that to me during our session, and then to explain that right here on air with us at Unlocking Levels, man, that shines. Whoa, excuse me.
I got one of those too, man.
What was that, Amber Alert? Oh man. Oh, that
Nah,
I saw something about that, the national test
yeah,
line. But
yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
getting back to it, man. Apologize for the interruption there, but yeah, it was something that, because I didn't know, I was fearful of it, right? But when
Mm-hmm.
you go and you realize that it's really just the release of gas, like the release of that pressure, and you're pushing that out so that you can create more of a flow within your body, which is how I'm taking it, how you explained it. Uh,
Mm-hmm.
that it makes so much more sense, bro, and it makes me want to, look into a chiropractor of my own out here. If I was back home, I would be going to you. You know what I'm
Mm-hmm.
saying? And for those that don't know, man, my man Stan, not only is he a chiropractor that practices chiropractic, but he'll come to you. SF Connected Chiropractic is a mobile service. And Stan, I just want to give you the opportunity to explain what your services are like, man.
Okay. So SF Connected Chiropractic is a mobile chiropractic service. That means we bring the care out to you. So whether it's in your home, in your workspace, if you want to get adjusted at your job site, or you maybe want to have your whole team adjusted, or we can come to your family parties. Like, there's no limit in what chiropractic can look like. And for us, we bring the care to you because when I looked at health in general, not just chiropractic, one of the main things I saw for people in terms of why they didn't want to go out to get any type of care related to their health was because they didn't want to take the time out of their daily schedules to do so. It seemed more like it was a hassle for people, like they have to take off work, or it's like I got to get home and I have this busy schedule picking up kids. Like, when do I find specific times to do that? And then it's very hard too, because sometimes even when we want to go, it's hard to schedule for a time that's convenient for us. It's
Mhm.
more about, like if you called in to a doctor's office or any type of office, it's like, okay, we have time on a Friday at 9:30 a.m. And you look at it like, well, I got to be at work at 9. So definitely that's not going to work for me. So why I built this concept was because I wanted to give the luxury of time and convenience back to the consumer, right? I think it's very important for us to feel like the people we want to work with also care about us.
Mhm.
So that's really why I created the system of how I wanted to build my brand, because I just looked at it as a way that it showed that I cared about people and their time, and I cared that they wanted to better their health, right? And the convenience for them made it better for me to just be just to see like kind of like happiness and satisfaction and kind of like the care that people are receiving.
That's amazing, bro. Honestly, that's so dope. Also, and I thought to myself as you were speaking, for like there's people out there. It's almost like when someone is hesitant to go into the gym, right? Because they might be a little self-conscious, they might be nervous, they might, because they don't know what's up with like, the gym. It's almost like that with chiropractic. There's not a lot of, well, I mean, at least from my standpoint, there's people that may not know much about chiropractic, right? And again, I was in that category. So I might not even known the first place to look. You know what I'm saying? So I might not even know like, okay, what the process is like. And for you to offer that convenience, that luxury, as you said, I think it's brilliant, bro. And it's just like, you eliminate that whole self-consciousness feeling. You get people into their own element where they're comfortable already, right? Like,
Right.
at home, your guard is already completely down. You can trust more. You can free flow with you. And I think that's important with you, right? Like for your client to trust you. And that adds that extra element of trust, and you can build that connection and that relationship. And man, I think it's just brilliant, bro. I'm curious, just out of from a personal standpoint, what's the furthest you traveled in the Bay Area so far?
In the Bay Area, so I've gone as far as like Fairfield. I've gone down to San Jose, kind of the East Bay push. I would say like out to like Concord. Actually, no, I've been to Pittsburgh. So yeah, there's no, like I said, there's no limitation to where you can receive chiropractic, right? And I think that's the good part about where I think not just chiropractic, but a lot of entrepreneurs are seeing that, it's much easier to bring your services to people. They're more willing uh, to go to you because they don't have to take time out of their lives and
For
make it
sure.
seem like it's a task, right? Like it's just like, oh no, this is part of my life.
That's amazing, bro. Honestly, it's just the concept is genius in my opinion, because it's you're right. We all live busy lives. It almost feels like there's not enough time in the day. So for you to basically offer that as an option for people, man, and it's real cool. So like, what does that look like, bro, in terms of when you do come to a person's home or wherever they're at, like you mentioned, work. Like, what does that look like for you?
So before we even meet, usually people reach out and they kind of say they're interested in the services. I usually ask them for a couple of days and times of when they might be available so that we can kind of fit that into our schedule to be as optimal as possible. Because it's going to be hard for me to like see someone in San Jose at 11 and then
Right.
you're gonna be in San Francisco and say, "Oh, can you see me at 12?" And it's like, if, we got to try to optimize our schedule like that. But so that's why we asked for a couple of convenient times for you. When that's set up, like I said, we kind of send you paperwork beforehand just so you can fill out some things and kind of take away a little bit of time of like questioning and digging further into it because I've already seen kind of like what your issues are. So I know what kind of questions I want to ask you specifically. And then we just move on from that. And then when we get there, we kind of just set up the table, uh, go further into the questions like we talked about. And then we do like the ranges of motions, the posture exams, uh, kind of just do a full body exam, see what the body is telling us. And then we kind of from there figure out where we want to adjust specifically because every person's not going to get the same adjustment. I know when you look at videos, you're just like, oh, it's a neck crack or it's a back crack or whatever it might be. That's what it visually looks like. But when we adjust, we're finding specific segments we want to adjust, whether that's higher in the neck at C2 or C1, lower in the neck, C6, C7, all those kind of things. We're actually being very specific in each adjustment that we're doing. We're not just finding some random spot in your neck and just adjusting it for fun.
Totally, man. Yeah, no, that's dope, man. And you bring that folding table and you got your massage gun and all that stuff, man.
Hmm.
I've been there. He came directly to my spot in Daly City when I was living out there in the Bay Area a little over a year ago for my first adjustment, man. And that was such a dope experience. And for those that haven't done it yet, man, and you're in the Bay Area, definitely tap in with my boy Stan because he knows what he's talking about. And if you made it this far in the podcast, you can tell he knows what he's talking about and he knows what he's doing. And he's going to treat you with a lot of care and comfort, and he's going to listen to you and he's going to help you out and just ease you through the process as much as humanly possible. And look, man, I mean, switching gears here, bro. I want to talk about entrepreneurship, bro, because again, unlocking levels is about health, reaching your optimal self. But part of that is being successful in life, bro. And
Hmm.
entrepreneurship, I think, is something that is very challenging to be, but so rewarding at the same time. So I just wanted to kind of ask you about where you at in your specific journey, how you feeling through it all, like the peaks and the valleys, how you getting through things, like where you at with everything right now, bro?
I feel like it's a work in progress, right? I think when you're an entrepreneur, it's probably always a work in progress. Like even if you think you've reached like the highest peaks of what you can achieve in your line of work, like you can always do more, right? Like I always think about that Kobe Bryant commercial when he's talking to Kanye West,
Yeah.
and he's like, do more, give me more sales, right? So in that same concept, like I think you can always do more. You can always better yourself, find different ways to approach maybe a different kind of like a different niche that you haven't kind of worked with yet, right? Like if right now specifically we're trying to work with families and kids, like how do we get to the elder population and work with them, right? Like there's always more, and there's always people that will need the services. It's just you have to find them because sometimes, like you talked about earlier, like people are just hesitant in kind of like reaching out to like new horizons to find different ways to approach health because we've kind of all been grown in this kind of like allopathic model of health where it's like like you push through until you can't push no more, and then it's like okay, like let's go to the doctors and find out what's going wrong with me, right? So yeah, in terms of entrepreneurship, I feel like you can always do more. I feel like right now I'm still kind of like scratching the surface in terms of like what I can do with this type of care. I felt like I've reached uh a good amount of people so far, but I know I can still reach out to more people and do more for the whole Bay Area community, right? And even if specifically I'm not adjusting them, if I can just be that gateway to open someone's like mind to the idea of chiropractic, then I still feel like I'm doing part of my job because I don't specifically need every person to come to me to be their chiropractor, but if more people are learning about chiropractic and are open to chiropractic and are actually doing chiropractic on some consistent level, then I still feel happy in my work because like I said, like I've always been a person of service. And if, people in my community are bettering themselves and living a better life, then that's good for me.
That dude, that's so dope to hear you say that, bro. And that's how you know this man is real. It's crazy because, you know, again, what we do here on Unlocking Levels, it's all tied to your own personal development. It's all tied to service. It's all tied to elevating, operating from your optimal self and things of that nature, man. And everything you said, bro, is connected, no pun intended, to what goes on here, bro. And you can see really how everything is connected from, that sense of purpose. That's what drives you. You referenced it earlier with not only with the community and how you aim to serve everybody and help them as part of your reason to why you do things, but also your family, for yourself, right? And it's that why is why you continue to show up every day, why you are gonna branch out to other niches, how you can get yourself to another level so that you could expand what you're working on, because you understand what you're here to do, what you're put on this earth to do, to help, to serve, to inspire, to inform people. And even if it's not directly through you, that, for you to just be that gateway to introduce people to the world of holistic health and chiropractic practice, and just, you know sharing some knowledge, bro, that right there again is going to be a major key as to why you're going to win, why you're going to always win, bro. And I salute you, bro, straight up, man. And similar to you, bro, I feel like I'm just scratching the surface with my shit too, bro. Because it's all tied into how good I can be myself. You know what I'm saying? Everything that I do, how I show up in the world, and what I look to accomplish is all tied to how good I can be as a man, how good I can be and show up as my best self. And that's very much tied to what you practice, bro, with the holistic health. And that's a beautiful thing, bro. And
Hmm.
what are you doing outside of yourself right now to like learn more about the landscape of things, bro, in terms of like how to get more shine towards what it is you have to offer.
Honestly, I think the only thing I really do outside of doing what I do is I I look I look into research about things, right? About topics that are relevant in what's going on in our everyday world, right? Like the concept of like our immune system's working well, right? And how chiropractic can actually be tied into that and actually affect the immune system because for the last three almost full 3 years, like that was the biggest issue going on around the world community. It was about health and about people getting sick and things like that, right? So learning about ideas and concepts that help benefit that, whether that's through nutrition, whether that's through physical lifestyle, whether that's getting chiropractic care to kind of be a piece of that,
Mhm.
and helping people understand how that all works and is kind of like how it all comes together to be one piece, right? Because you can work out and look like a very healthy person, but if you eat a whole bunch of junk food, things like that, that's going to affect the way the inside of your body works. And when that's not going right, then other parts of your body will have to pick up and kind of like support you. And then would you look at yourself saying like, oh, I don't know why I'm getting sick so often. Like I work out all the time. Like look like I'm a physical specimen. Like, how am I getting sick so much? And it's because the inside of your body isn't working that well. And that, there's no way for you to see that other than the expression of being sick, right?
Mm. So true, man. Again, it's all connected, bro. It really is. Everything works with one another to kind of make things go. And in order for you to feel at your most optimal self, like, and I know it sounds challenging and it sounds even daunting. You know what I'm saying? For people, because even me, bro, like, I've eliminated a lot of vices out of my life and also incorporated some new healthier habits, bro. And I'm trying to reverse the aging process, bro. You know what I'm saying? Really trying to do my best to just feel at my optimal self. And I feel like I'm doing a damn good job of it, but there's always something that you can do to kind of like improve. And that's the beauty of it too. You know what I'm saying? Like, and your alternative that you offer with chiropractic is something that I think more people need to know about. And I hope that in this episode, people do know more about it. I hope that this was able to shine a lot more information on what it is that you do. And before we wrap up, bro, I just want to ask you, is there anything else that you feel like you want to drop on us before we get up out of here that you feel like you didn't get a chance to talk about and you feel is important to say?
I think something important for people to know is that no matter where you are in your life, uh, you can always be better, right? Just because you haven't had chiropractic care doesn't mean that you never need chiropractic care or you don't, or you have to shy away from that. Like I said before, chiropractic care is about optimal life. It's not related to being symptomatic of something in order for you to reach out for care. And I think as we live our lives, we always want to embetter ourselves and empower ourselves. And I think one of the ways we can do that is through chiropractic care, because we talked about earlier, it's just about understanding your body and how it works together. Like our arm just isn't our arm. When we want to use our arm, we probably have to use our shoulder. When we then use our shoulder, then we have to use muscles in our back, right? Everything is connected. And I just want people to know that just because you don't come from a standpoint of having chiropractic care doesn't mean there's not a time for you to begin. I started chiropractic school when I was like 32, 33. And in the world of chiropractic school, that's a little bit on the older side, right? And you know, I I went into that field really not knowing anything. I never had chiropractic care when I was younger. I wasn't one of those like chiropractic kids that grew up in a chiropractic family or have seen a chiropractor for a long time. Like my first adjustment I ever got was at school, like in our student clinic. And even then, when I got that adjustment, it was kind of like, wow, it's so eye-opening to know that there's a different side of health. There's a different approach to health and that it's never too late to begin that journey. Because I think a lot of times, like I talked about, we live in a society where it's like we got to push through everything and just deal with everything until it gets to a breaking point where, like seeing health from a different side, it's like, oh, pain is our body communicating to us that there's an issue and it's something that we should address uh, and fix rather than let it get worse until it really takes us out of service and then we can't do anything about it. And then we need like some really like crazy interventions, such as like spinal surgery or something like that. So, I also think like pain isn't specifically a bad thing. It's just the way our body talks to us and lets us know like there's something that needs to be done. And person to person, it changes. Like some people look at it like, yeah, I need to fix this now because I don't want it to get worse. And there's some people that are like, I'm gonna push that off until I can't deal with it anymore. And it's those people I want to implore to, really listen to what your life is telling you, right? Like there's always signs. We always talk about signs and things like that as like, oh, this is a reason why I need to do something like that. Like, look at pain as that sign that, hey, you need to change something up because you definitely don't want to get in a situation where you can't do anything about it.
Man, so spot on, so wonderfully said, bro. And you know, you're so, dude, so many of us fall under that category where we just ignore that pain. And I was that way for so long. And I've had health issues earlier on, and I just continue to neglect it. And you're right. There's so many of us that have that kind of program in us where we just push through. And that kudos to people that do that because of the mental strength that it takes. But at the same time, you should hopefully this episode and the information that you brought forth today is able to let people know, like, bro, like, pay attention to those indicators. Pain isn't necessarily a bad thing. I love that how you said that. It's something that you should pay attention to. And when you do feel a certain type of discomfort or pain, look into it. Take that proactive approach. Reach out, try to find answers. And chiropractic may be for you. You know what I'm saying? Before you have to resort to any other alternative that might be a little bit more drastic, right? And man, I know for one, I learned a lot today, bro. And I hope that everybody listening learned a lot too. And I just thank you, brother, like for the information. And again, I just see the work that you're doing, man. I support you from wherever I'm at in the world. And I just love to see it, bro. Just keep up the good work. Keep going. Numbers. Hey.
Numbers.
But yes, Stan, man, I appreciate you, my guy, straight up,
Of
bro. And
course.
when you
Anytime.
get out here in November, I'm gonna need an adjustment, bro. So yeah,
For
bro, we
sure.
tap in like the Kings do, bro. And yeah, man, hold it down back home. And I appreciate all the work you're doing. I appreciate the information you shared. And yeah, man, that's all I got for today, y'all. And for those that got a lot of information out there, from Stan, Stan, let us know how we can reach you, bro.
You can find me on Instagram. That's at SF connected underscore chiropractic. You can also visit my website, sfconnectedchiropractic.com. And if you have any questions, there's always an email link or a message link that you can reach out to me and have questions. Whether you're curious about chiropractic, whether you have a specific situation going on and want to see how chiropractic can help you deal with that issue. I'm always open for conversation, always open for connecting with people in the community and hopefully helping them get back to living their optimal selves.
Awesome, man. And I encourage anybody, man, to reach out and tap in with Stan. He's got a wealth of information, and he's not shy at sharing the game, on how you can be at your optimal self. So with that being said, that's all we got for y'all today on Unlocking Levels. I'm your host, CL The Source. Thank you once again for tapping in. And until the next time, y'all, peace and love.